Hey y'all, hi. You know what I have to say today? These are the times that try men's souls. They really are. But I'm really excited about this video. It's one of these things where I've been excited about filming it for longer than I usually have to go before actually sitting down to film a video that I'm excited about filming. It's like 3 days ago, I was like, can't wait to film that video. And then I couldn't do it that day. And then yesterday, can't wait to film it. And then finally today, I have time. I'm doing it. And I'm really, really here for it. It's exciting because these are cream cheek products, and I'm going to be showing you really good swatches, also putting them on my face, reviewing them, and some of them are really, really good, and some of them are really, really not good. So it's just like fun. I have a lot of information to impart. It's going to be dynamic, and just cream cheeks are the juiciest and best makeup for me right now. It really gets me going. On top of it all, it's drugstore stuff. It's e.l.f. products. Here's what happened. I received a little package of e.l.f. products from e.l.f. through Magic Links. So it is PR, it was sent to me, and I was able to request what I wanted. They were like, we want to send you just a couple of products. And I was like, cream cheeks, cream cheeks, cream cheeks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cream cheek products from e.l.f., 2 newly released lip products from e.l.f., so also cream products, but for the lips. And I'm going to go through all of them and give you the full rundown. If this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, welcome! I'm so glad you clicked on it. My name is Hannah. I really love beautiful things, but I don't want to promote overconsumption or overspending on YouTube, and I also don't want to be a person who overconsumes stuff and overspends on stuff. So I try to keep a balance here on my channel for my sake as well as yours, and if that sounds good to you, I hope that you will subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So before I jump into reviewing these products for you, putting them on my face, swatching them, telling you all my feelings, I'm just going to tell you what they are so that you know what you're getting yourselves into. So the 2 lip products are the Ride or Die Lip Balm in Tough Cookie and the Sheer Slick lipstick in the shade Golden Pear, which is such a beautiful shade name, I feel. For the cheeks, I have these 2 monochromatic multi-sticks. One is in Glistening Peach and the other is in Bronzed Cherry. I have this tube of liquid highlighter. I think it's just the e.l.f. liquid highlighter. I think they just have 1 shade and just 1 liquid highlighter. So it just says liquid highlighter on it. And then it says illuminating in the spot where there would be a shade name. But again, I think that there's just 1 of them. And then the creme de la creme, the pièce de résistance, this e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek Palette. I'm going to go through and order them from my favorites to my least favorites. And as I think I said in the introduction, there's a very wide range of how I feel about these and how well I feel that they performed. There's something in here that I think is just really, truly incredible and has blown me away. Spoiler alert, it's this. And then there are some products in here that I was just like, this is literally garbage to me and I can't wait to give it away. So we'll start with this because this is primarily what I want to put on my face. This isn't the most beautiful or elegant cream cheek palette in the world or just in e.l.f.'s oeuvre. Oeuvre? That's a word that I type a lot, like I write it a lot, but I almost never say it out loud. And I feel like I might be being kind of weird about it. Like it's a French word that we use in English, but is there a way that we say it in English that doesn't sound like you're trying to speak French? Do we say oeuvre? 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 Anyway, the stuff that e.l.f. has to offer includes some actually really quite beautiful and classy looking cheek palettes. And even among those, there are some really beautiful and classy looking cream cheek palettes. And I was this close to being like, send me one of those because they just look more impressive. They look beautiful on the vanity. They just look more robust. And I don't really like the packaging or the sales tactic of this one. That's like the makeup for the gym line that they came out with. And I'm like, come on. And it's also, I don't really think that it's very beautiful. Like it's not as attractive to me. It looks much more like drugstore makeup to me. And I know that they're capable of something that doesn't quite look like drugstore makeup, but looks like it might be from Sephora because you can see it on their website for other products. It has this icky brush that doesn't match the packaging, which is weird. There's nothing else really black on it, and so I just feel like it looks and feels like it was kind of thrown in. The pans are really small, so for lip and cheek, I mean, I think that they're thinking it's something you do on the go, so you just use your fingers in it. But I am not doing that. I'm like using it, and I'm using it here with all of my tools. I really want to be able to put my brushes into it, and it's really hard. Like you can't, the way that they're shaped and the size to put like a big cream cheek brush into it is difficult. So I've had to find workarounds for that. There are all sorts of things about it that make it inelegant. The reason that I chose it, however, is the colors. The colors are my jam 100%, and neither of the cream cheek palettes that e.l.f. has on offer that are just, you know, classier looking in terms of the layout than this one, neither of them has colors that I really like. Like they're all like berries and pinks kind of. I think one is like the light one is like pinks and the deeper, richer one is just more berries. Whereas this has like the chocolatey nudes for which I live. And it also has a highlighter in it. And I really love a cream highlighter too. So I took a chance being like, I'm gonna hate the packaging. I can tell that just by looking, but I wanna try the formula in these colors. And it has blown me away. Like I'm so into it. I've really loved playing with it during makeup playtime. I've really loved wearing it. It is super hot in LA right now. Like I'm talking 107 degrees. So I actually feel like cream cheeks like this, where it's like really rich and creamy and glossy and dewy all over, and then that gleam of color, like that rich, flushy, like a wet flush, it suits this kind of weather. Because it's weird if you're hot and everyone's kind of sweating and everyone's glistening because it's sweaty outside, and then you're there with like a powdered matte face. It looks more like makeup. Whereas if you're kind of working with the natural environment with something like this, I feel like that's when products like this really shine. So everything about this kind of is abhorrent to me, just like the way that it's presented. I mean, you know, I'm not a drugstore bee over here. Like I have way more knowledge about high-end and even some luxury products. There are some drugstore favorites in my world. I mean, you know, I absolutely love like the Maybelline lipsticks. There are some that have hit it out of the park for me that I cherish as much as I cherish my high-end stuff. It's just that I happen to know more. I've tried more high-end makeup and more luxury makeup in my life than I have drugstore. So I have a little bit of a dicey relationship with it. Like it's tough for something to be good enough to rise above the fact that the packaging doesn't excite me, because I feel like packaging is part of the experience with beautiful things like makeup. So you know, most of you know. But all of this is just in service of saying that right now, I feel like you could not pry this from my cold, dead hands. Like it's really turned it around for itself in just a couple of days. I was skeptical at the beginning because I was like, it's gonna have to be really good for me to be able to get over myself and cherish it through its packaging. And that is exactly what it is. And that's exactly what it's done. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on because I feel like it's the star of the show. And then I'll go through and tell you about the rest of the products, and I'll try some of them on my face as well. Maybe I'll even incorporate them. What am I gonna do? I didn't make a plan. So I'll talk you through the shades, and I'll try to put all of them on. I'll mix them all together. We're just gonna go for it. I don't think that these shades have names, but there's sort of a mid-toned peach one, there's a really bronze one, and then there's like a deeper like bronzed berry kind of one. So I'm first going into the lightest one, which still isn't that light. I think it's actually really quite a rich color, and it's quite richly pigmented, and it doesn't feel too soft. It's definitely a cream, but it feels like it's got that nice sticky tacky quality. I like that because I feel like I'll be able to control where I put it. It's not gonna just like blah all over. Like some cream and gel products they just sort of like slide right on and off your face. Like you put it on, it's like sliding everywhere. Really liquidy blushes I find can even be harder to work with sometimes, because a little goes such a long way that as little as you try to apply, it's like covering half of your face before you know it. I really like the textures here. I think this is like my ideal cream cheek because it's just a bit stiff. So I'm going to diffuse this first color because it's the lightest one. And I'm actually going to go ahead and incorporate some of the highlight in as well. This highlighter is really interesting because it doesn't look blinding in the pan. It doesn't even look blinding when you put it on your cheeks. But when you, and also when I just put the highlighter on alone, it can look really good. Like it'll really light up my nose when I do this, especially because it's like warming up with the heat of my skin. But where it really shines is when it gets incorporated into the colorful products that are in here, which are all matte. Now I'm gonna blend that out and mix them together, and it warms up, it turns the colorful product into something really glistening and gleaming and natural. And you end up looking, if you keep layering it and blending it, which is what I'm about to do, you end up really looking like you've got a gorgeous blinding highlighter on, but it's incorporated. So it doesn't have like that striped look or that separated or like something sitting on top of another thing. I was sort of, I don't know, I didn't have high hopes for this highlighter when I first started playing with it. And then I was so happy with the gleaminess, the sheeniness, and the wetness of the looks that I ended up getting with it. So there's just like, you know, if you're a normal woman, if you're a normal girl or person of any gender, right? If you just want a little bit of a natural flush, then that's fine, right? But you know, we all know that that's not what I am. I am a person who likes to have like 5 days worth of blush on her face all at one time. So I'm going to keep going in. But I think you can see the gleam, right? I think you can see that. And I mean, come on, for something that looks so innocuous, like in the pan and in the swatch, I tried and tried when I was doing the overhead footage, and I could not get this gleam to show up in the swatch. So this is one of those products that like, it doesn't swatch the way that it applies. It really lives its best life when it's on your cheeks. So that's like, you know, maybe the mildest thing that you can have going with this. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and put the bronze one on so that you'll be able to see what it can do in terms of color. You can get a really nice bronzy cheek. I'm not using it as a bronzer because to me, bronzer and blush are sort of just the same thing. Like, do you have a more bronzy look on, or do you have a more blushy look on? But you know, it is such that it doesn't look brown. It's not cool toned. It has enough warmth in it that it does look like a bronzy blush on me, which is what I look for in that kind of thing. So that has heightened the look. And now I'm really gonna go in and just do the thing. Like I'm gonna make it a look that's about the cheek, and I'm gonna do that with this last darker color. And you can see what I've been doing. I've been using this, which is I think it's supposed to be a concealer brush. I think it's supposed to be a concealer brush. I've been using it because it fits right into the pan, but it's big enough that I feel like I can get quite a lot on. And I also feel like I have some control, like I can paint. Look at that. It's like the brown has blended with that richer color, and it's just such a pretty color. It's like all three of them are so beautiful on their own. And then when they blend together with each other, you have so much control over the shades of this kind of cream cheek. And I think that that's why this excites me so much. It does feel a little bit like an artist's palette, right? So I will mention that I'm mixing in quite a lot of the highlighter, partly to make it shine, but also to make it more sheer and to make it work better with my very, very pale skin tone. The highlighter is pretty gleamy and sheer. It's a little bit hard for me to tell if it would look like it was sitting on top of my skin if I had darker skin. I do think that there is a chance of that. There's a chance that that would happen. So I don't know if I can recommend this without hesitation to those of you who have darker skin. But I do think that there is a chance that you might be able to do exactly what I'm doing, mix it with the others just to make it more sheer and sheeny. I feel like the situation in which it looks like it's going to sit on top of your skin is when you're just using the highlight and you're using a really thick application of it. But it seems like these colors are designed to be extremely versatile, like really to work for all people, because you can make like a really, really rich, deep look with them. I'm just choosing to sheer it out again because of my skin tone. So you would think that they would have made sure that the highlighter is also creamy enough and shears out enough to be translucent, to be gleamy instead of ashy on everyone. I hope that that's the case. Now I really look like I have a painted on sunburn. So I'm gonna go back in with the brush that I used for concealer, for base, and just blend the edges of that a little bit so that it doesn't look so much like a sunburn, but more like a sunburn makeup look. That's a lot, but I want more. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a dot right there, and I'm gonna blend it with a softer brush so that it retains more of itself, more color. Joe, a blackout? You don't think that we just maybe overloaded the circuits because of the heat? I'm gonna be really sad if I can't finish this video. It was going so well. Well, that was exciting, and I'm really excited that I'm actually getting to finish this video. I thought that I was going to have to scrap it all. The power went out, and I thought that I wasn't gonna be able to finish this video, and so I took out the earrings and proceeded to do other things. So I'm just putting them back in for continuity. So the power went out because it's so hot. And we didn't know if it was an intentional rolling blackout. Like sometimes they, they do like enforced blackouts in parts of the city just to reduce power usage. We didn't know if it was that and if it would come back on in an hour or if it was like an actual blackout because the power grid had failed. And we thought that it was the power grid failing. So Oliver has some solar panel, but just like a solar panel that charges a battery just for emergencies. So we were like out in the backyard, like putting the solar panel in the sun, and we connected 3 extension cords together so that we could plug the battery into the fridge while it was charging. So we were basically, for the past hour, I've been using the sun to keep the fridge running so that all the food didn't spoil. We were strategizing about what to do for dinner because I was planning to cook like a giant dinner with 2 whole roasted chickens and a bunch of potatoes, and we can't use the stove because it's electric. And anyway, then suddenly when, we had finally been like, okay, we're gonna be fine, then the power came back on and now I'm able to finish my video. So sorry, I'm like rather discombobulated. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been running around not really like a chicken with her head cut off, but like maybe like a chicken that keeps its cool when the power goes off and, is practical and tries to find out what to do next. I've been running around like that kind of chicken. And I have gotten also sweaty because the air conditioning went off, and I think I already said in the video that it's like it's actually 108 degrees today. So it got hot. It started getting hot right away, and we've been going inside and outside, and it's like a sauna outside. So this is what it looks like when you put the blush on and then you live your life and work up a sweat. I just glanced in the mirror into the bathroom mirror right before coming and sitting down to continue filming. And I was just like, girl, because it just looks like a photo shoot. Like the way that I just actually feel like it even looks better now than it did when I first put it on, because it's really become part of my skin, part of my face, part of my day. And so it's just a testament to this product. The other thing is that what could have happened is that me spending this hour and a half running around and doing things could have turned the cheeks into something that are a little worse for wear, and that didn't happen either. I just feel like, again, like it looks better even than it did before. I'm so glad I don't have to scrap the footage from this video because, as I said, I was excited. I've been waiting for like 3 days to have the time and space, the moment to do this, and it had finally arrived, and I thought that blackout was gonna prolong this moment even further. So forgive me if I repeat myself or if I sort of don't quite pick up where I left off, but I think that that's pretty much all that I wanted to say about this. I'm so impressed by it. I wonder if this is the same formula as the other E.L.F. cheek palettes, the nicer looking ones, but I think it might not be because this is being billed as a lip and cheek palette, and they're like formulated for you to wear during your workouts or to wear when you're, you know, carrying batteries and solar panels across the backyard. But I would love it if e.l.f. would make more palettes, like bigger, not this line, but like other cream cheek palettes or cream cheek products with this formula, because I actually think it's really good. Like I cannot imagine anything better. Like I literally cannot imagine. I feel like if I ordered a Tom Ford cream cheek palette and it performed the way these perform, I would be like, yeah, worth my money. So really amazing. I mean, that's a testament to this. It's really, really good and fun to use. So I realize that this is a lip and cheek palette. And I will tell you that what I've been doing when I've been playing with it in Makeup Playtime is after I finish doing what I did for you already on camera, I'll just take the brush in whatever gunked up state it's in with a mix of the 3 colors and the highlighter and just like put it on my lips. And it's worked beautifully. It looks really sultry and lovely and sophisticated on the lips. The formula, it is that perfect balance between being kind of stiff and sticky and being emollient enough that it's not dry on the lips. So I've been very pleased with it on the lips as well, but I have 2 lip products that I want to show you. So I'm not going to put it on my lips because actually it's more pigmented. It's much more pigmented than either of the other 2. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll start with the Sheer Slick, the more lipsticky of the products, and I'll just put it on and talk about how I've been feeling about it. And then I'll go to the Ride or Die lip balm and I'll put that on, and then I'll mix it a little bit with the lip and cheek product. So you'll be able to see all 3. But I told you I was going to go in order from favorite to least favorite. And I think that the Ride or Die lip balm might actually be my second favorite of all of these products that I've been trying. But it's a little bit hard to decide between these 2. They're neck and neck, the 2 lip products, because they are both really lovely. And I think more to the point, they both deliver exactly what they promise. So even though they're different products from each other, I feel like both of them are like 10 out of 10 doing what they said that they would do. So there's Golden Pear. It's the e.l.f. Sheer Slick lipstick. And I like it because it is kind of like a richly colored balm feeling thing, but maybe not as thick as a balm. Like it feels kind of thin, you know, sheer and slick. I like that quality because it's not fussy, and I feel like even if I have quite made up eyes, I can still wear it and I don't look like I'm overly made up. By the same token, it works when you're not really wearing much other makeup. It doesn't feel like your lips are way more made up than the rest of your face. It doesn't look like there's not balance. Easy to wear, and I really like this color. It's kind of like a cross between a coral and a rust, but that sheerness means that it's not too intimidatingly rich and statement. It's like it's not too intimidatingly rich and statement because the formula is sheer, but it still has the sophistication of the shade being slightly off or slightly mixed. It's not too primary, it's not too boring, it's not too predictable. I really love it. It's like spot on. And there it is blotted down. That's probably kind of an approximation of what it wears to after an hour or 2. And that's also pretty beautiful. So really wearable, really special. It's the kind of thing where I could see myself being interested in maybe another color at some point. Like I like it that much. I think it's a really good product. But I must confess, I haven't been wearing it as much as I've been wearing this one. I've been reaching for this every single day, every day, no matter what other makeup I have on, or even if I have no other makeup. It occurs to me at some point that I can put this on. Like my lips are a little dry and I'm like, oh, I could wear that balm from e.l.f. And then I'm like, yeah, I get to put it on. The one thing that I like better about this is that this you have to use your finger. You know what I mean? It squeezes out. It doesn't have an applicator. It's just a tube that squeezes out. And I don't like that as much. I really like hands-free makeup. I like it when there's like the highest level of elegance in terms of the application of something. As you'll see in the overhead swatches, and I'm not sure when I'm going to put them in, but I did swatch comparisons, so you'll either have seen it or you'll be seeing it now, or you'll see it at some point later in the video. As you'll see, this is more pink. Everything's kind of like rich and nudie in terms of color here, so it's hard to tell. But when they're swatched out, they're about the same opacity. Like this one's about as pigmented as the other one. It's just that It's, you know, more liquidy and tackier and thicker than this one. When they're swatched out, this one's much more orange, golden pear, and then the Ride or Die Lip Balm and Tough Cookie, it's just a little bit more pink. It's not pink, it's definitely that sort of neutral color, but it is just more pink than this one. So to me, in terms of color, when I'm choosing between them, that's the consideration that I'm making. And you might even be able to see it on me. This one looks more wet. I think you can see that it looks thicker. It looks a little bit more glossy. Last thing though, the scent is very strong. It really strongly smells like vanilla cookie, exactly what you would think. It's Tough Cookie. And I can only assume that the other three colors have different flavors, because one is like a mint color. I think the other two might be fruit colors. So I think that they've matched the scents and flavors with the colors on this one. And this is like a really sweet baked goods smell, which is something that I like. I don't mind. I do like scented things, so I'm not a person who's like automatically going to be like, this is horrible when it's, you know, this kind of makeup. I don't particularly love scents in skincare, but for this, you know, it's nice. But it's so strong and it's so, I guess, artificial, that it's right on the edge of being too much, even for me, even though I'm a person who likes this kind of thing. So if that tells you anything about what kind of scent it is and the level of scent, then I'm glad that I'm able to pass that along to you. I do prefer the, well, I was about to say the unscentedness of this one, but weirdly it smells a little bit like rosemary. I wonder if that's real or if I'm kind of making that up, but it's definitely not. The scent of this did not impress itself upon me, whereas the scent of this impressed itself upon me with fervor. So now I'm going to take more of this on my brush and just mix it in so that you can see. I'm going to do like the brown mixed with the coral. They're so pigmented, these lip and cheek products, that I only needed a little bit. Okay, so those are the three of which I approve with the most confidence. I feel like this is the one that I love, that I'm like, wow, wow, wow. These two I really do like a lot, and I'm really glad that I have them now, and I'm pretty sure they'll both make it through my reckoning. Like, that's how I feel about these. These, I could see myself, if I needed something like this and I was like in a drugstore and I was looking for something, I would with confidence pick this or any of the other colors and flavors, this or any of the other colors. Like, I'm like, these are two really good formulas, and I feel like I can confidently recommend them if you're looking for something like this at a price point like this. But they're not so incredibly unique or unique to my collection or unique to the world of makeup that I'm like losing my mind over them. But I do kind of feel that way about this one. I'm just like, it's like precious jewels to me. So that's why this is number one. These are number two and number three, but they're kind of like both occupying that spot. And then we have this. These are like the garbagey ones. But before we get down to the very bottom of the pile, this has sort of confused me, and it's a little bit hard to know what to do because the swatching is incredible with this. Like, it is so beautiful. When I started swatching it, I was like, actually, the first feeling I had about it was like, it's so oily, because it is an oil-based liquid highlighter. And when I first started squeezing it out and opening it, it's like oil came out. And because of the style of the tube, it's hard to mix. Like, there's no way to mix it. And it doesn't feel like it's liquidy enough that shaking it does very much. So it was this awkward thing where I was like, oil is coming out. It's separated and oil is coming out, but I don't know if I'm mixing it. So I shook it up. I let it rest in like a different position. And then the next time I used it, it wasn't separated anymore. So I don't know if it was the shaking or what, but you know, that was not ideal. Like, I was like, oh, that's a lot of oil that's like mixed in with it. And of course, that's going to make it look really shiny and beautiful because oil reflects a lot of light. And so if you suspend glimmery particles in an oily base, the glimmery particles and the oil kind of like double down on each other and you end up looking amazing, right? But it's not necessarily my favorite trick because I like a highlight that's on the cheeks to have a little more beef than that. So first I was like, oh, that's a lot of oil. Then I was like, I'm trying to mix it up. Then I mix it up. And then once it wasn't separated anymore and I started squeezing out and really swatching it, I was like, I was like, a scandalo, because it's so pretty. You'll see in the swatches, it's so pretty. You know, I didn't have hope that it would dry down completely. With that much oil in it, it's not something that's going to dry down completely. But I did have hope that it wouldn't be too like tacky or oily or difficult to work with, or that it wouldn't like fade off of the cheeks or melt off of the cheeks. I'm actually gonna see what happens if I put it on and try to kind of mix it into this. And then maybe from there, you guys can assess whether it seems to be making much of a difference. It's so liquidy that I feel like maybe I can sort of almost paint it on, almost like a glaze over what I already have going. Yeah, that did work. I feel like my cheeks were already really glossy and beaming, so I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference. But in person, it worked. Like it put sort of a really shiny, oily glaze over the pretty glossy cheek that I was already wearing, and it didn't disturb what was underneath it. I did brush it on pretty lightly with a very soft brush, but it didn't disturb what was underneath it. It didn't like get in amongst the cream highlight and F it up. It worked. And it increased the shine and it toned down the color a little bit, which is exactly what I like to use the Charlotte Tilbury one for. So I think that for the time being, my verdict on this is that if you already own the one from Charlotte Tilbury, if you're the kind of person who doesn't mind spending almost $40 on a highlighter like this, then don't then go and get this one as well. Like, it doesn't make sense to expand your liquid highlighter collection into this if you already have ones that do what this does, but that do dry down completely. And so using that logic, I myself wouldn't go out and buy this with my money, because I already have one that kind of does the same thing, but that has that extra added benefit of drying down completely. But if you really want something like the Charlotte Tilbury one that I'm talking about a lot, and you don't want to spend that much, then this is a good option. It's not a total dupe because it doesn't behave exactly the same, but it's a really good alternative. And again, by that same logic, if I didn't have the Charlotte Tilbury one and I wanted something like this, but I wasn't really willing to drop the $40, I didn't have anything left in my budget, or I didn't have enough left in my budget for that one, I would get this one, and I feel like I'd be able to kind of do all of the same things with it, even though it wouldn't be as perfect for me as that one. All right, let's talk about the bugaboos. It's so sad. I was hoping that this would be, I almost feel like when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to review from E.L.F, these were like the first. And you can kind of tell that because I got 2 of them. I was like, oh yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly what I want. And so, I confined myself to 2, but I was really excited about this product. I thought it would be more perfect for me than it ended up being. And that might be because the ColourPop blush stick, the one that I have, it's in the shade Roosevelt, I get along really well with that. It turns out that I really like things that you can kind of like swipe on and go like this, even though, I don't know, people feel like they get messy, people feel like they're less sanitary. But I feel like it's an extra step to have to dip your finger in and use your finger, or to have to even dip a brush in and use a brush. With these, presumably you can just, swipe it on or dot it on and then blend it out with either a brush or a sponge or with your finger. And it just feels less fussy to me. That's part of what I like about the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight wand, actually, because it's a sponge tip applicator. So even though it can get a little messy, when it comes to applying it, it's really quick and easy and kind of hands-free. So I got these 2 colors and they both disappointed me. The one that disappointed me the most is Glistening Peach, because it's very glisteny and there's, iridescent particles suspended in kind of like a base that's trying to be sort of a cream base. And I feel like already that's a problem because the 2 kinds of finish, the 2 finishes contradict each other. And so what ended up happening was I would put it on, it looked a little bit promising. Then when I would start buffing it out or even tapping it out with my finger, the more opaque and milky particles would sort of all disperse. And then it would leave behind just these like patches of slightly opalescent glitter. And I tried a lot. I tried over and over to make it work. I think you'll be able to see in the swatches that when you start to try to blend it out, you just smear it around. It feels very silicone-y. It's like a gel style, but I think that the way that they've interpreted that is to make it really kind of quite silicone-y. So it almost feels like you took like a blush and some glitter and mixed it into a silicone primer. And if you can imagine how that would go down in the way that, like thinking about the way that a silicone primer sort of slips around so you can like draw your finger through it and it'll leave a mark clean through to your skin. That's how these are. So just trying to buff it out, my finger is like leaving a mark, wiping it away as I try to buff it out. And I have found it literally impossible to get an even application of this one, Glistening Peach, which is like the lightest, I think most highlighting one. I've had a little bit of better luck with Bronzed Cherry. This, it's so sad because it's stunning. Like the color is absolutely stunning. And when you first start working with it, it seems like it's so pigmented that it's not going to have the same problem. You're like, oh yeah, I can do that. This was me. I was like, oh yeah, this one I can do because there's a lot of pigment there. I can definitely work with it. And then as soon as I started blending it out, the same thing happened. It was my fingers like tracing a path through it rather than spreading it around. So every swipe of my finger or every swipe of the brush makes it more uneven, makes it patchier, because whatever you're using to buff it out is also drawing lines through it and like just dispersing it unevenly. You're getting like product pushed to the edge of the brush strokes and of the finger and less product in the middle. So I tried to make sure that you could see what I'm talking about with the swatches. What it felt like was that I was using a product that wasn't meant for the cheeks on the cheeks. It's like, I felt like I was using like a gel lip color on my cheeks and finding out why it wasn't a multi-purpose product, why it was just supposed to be a lip product, because it just, there's pretty much nothing you can do to get it to apply evenly to the cheeks and to disperse well over the cheeks. So I think both of these I'm just going to be giving away. I think that the formula is terrible. Like they completely missed the mark with this. And I feel like having tried this and this together in the same round of product testing, for me, it places E.L.F. squarely in the center of the definition of a hit or miss brand, because I feel like this, to me, it's like the hit of the year. And these are like as much misses as a product can possibly be. Like they're literally designed as multi-sticks, like for the cheeks and lips. I had the experience putting them on of being like, this is truly not designed to be applied with a finger or a brush or a sponge onto the smooth cheek, because it just picks up and is patchy and it's just truly horrible. And I don't know how it possibly made it through the testing process. Like it's hard for me to believe that these are cream cheek products from the same brand. They couldn't be more different from each other in terms of how they perform. So that is it. That's the rundown of these cream products that I've been trying from E.L.F. I'm really grateful to E.L.F. and to Magic Links for including me in this, like asking me if there's anything that I wanted to try and being willing to send these over. And I'm particularly excited that they ended up being interesting enough products for me to make a whole video about them, because, you know, I always feel like I would like to do more drugstore content. I would like to familiarize myself more with drugstore makeup, but just because it's inexpensive doesn't mean that I feel like it's okay for me to go out and like buy a bunch of it. And that's something that I try not to do. I only allow myself to like buy something for a review about once a month with my channel budget. And, you know, again, like even though it would only cost me like maybe $20 or $30 to do like a whole haul from somewhere like E.L.F. and then try out all these products, and even though I have $30 of my budget to spend, it's just not in my nature to be like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of cheap stuff and like, because I just want more makeup and I want to try stuff, you know. I'm trying not to run my life that way. So because I'm on YouTube, I really, really do appreciate this. It kind of fills in a gap in the middle. It's a chance for me to try the things just for review. And I love making content like this. I hope that this was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to film, although I don't know if that could be possible. I mean, the filming was fun and then horrifying and then fun because of what happened with our power over here. But I think what I was trying to say is that it couldn't possibly be more fun to watch this video than it has been for me to play with these cream cheek products, because this has really been, gosh, dare I say it, it's like a highlight of my year, and I almost want to say like a highlight of my experience as a YouTuber receiving PR. Like this cream cheek product, this Cream Cheek Palette. I'm just about to finish the video and I know I'm going on and the camera just shut off. The camera was like, girl, you've been filming long enough. But yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I've ever received in PR. It's just so good, and it was a bit unexpected. So this has really been a pleasure. All right, that's it. We're done. It's time. I'm totally discombobulated because this video is like, as always, I appreciate you so much for being here. And as always, I hope that you're remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.